Hello scholars, it is Miss M coming to you with another math video to help you with some of your packet work. If this video is familiar to you, that's great because we've done this on Zoom before, but if you haven't seen this video before, today we will be talking about determining groups with the same. So the LEQ for this lesson was, how can we determine if groups of objects are equal? And the objective was, I can compare groups of objects to determine if they are equal. So let's go over the vocabulary you're going to see. So when we are comparing sets of objects and want to know how many are in each set, we need to compare using these words. So we have same and similar, and we have equal. So same, something identical. So an example of something that is identical is a picture that is the same in all ways. So for this slide, your example is this picture of these two shoes. They are the same or identical, meaning that they are both orange and they both have black on them. They both have black laces with white, and the inside of the shoes are also white. The shoes are also the same size, so everything about these pairs of shoes are identical. Many other things can be identical, like the size of your hands, the size of your feet. There are different things that can be identical other than pictures. Let's talk about the word similar. Something that looks the same but is not identical, meaning not everything is the same. So an example for this would be a picture that is the same but different in color or size, so they are similar. So this shoe and this shoe are the same size, but their colors are different. This shoe is purple and this shoe is orange, but they both have black laces and they have white on the inside of the shoes. So the shoes are not identical. Not everything is the same, but they are very close, so they are similar. And our last vocabulary word is equal. Things that are equal in their value. So an example could be, if I paid $10 and you paid $10, we would be paying an equal amount. We'd have the same amount. So today we're going to compare groups of objects. So instead of looking at their size, color, or where they may belong in a group, we're going to just look to see how many objects are in that group. So I have 1, 2, 3 rocket ships and 1, 2, 3 astronauts. I'm going to line them up to make sure that each rocket ship has an astronaut. So this group has an astronaut, this group has an astronaut, and this group has an astronaut. And they both have 3. So the number of rocket ships and the astronauts are the same or identical. The groups are equal. Each group has 3. The word equal means that they have the same number in each group. So let's try again. I have 2 forks and 2 plates. So again, we're going to line up our forks and our plates to make sure that we have an equal group. So each plate has a fork and each group has 2 in it. So our questions that we need to answer are these 2 groups equal? How do we know? Well, I know they must be equal or the same because each group has 2 items, 2 forks and 2 plates. And I can check my work by lining them up with arrows, so I know that these 2 groups have an equal amount. So we can put this in our sentence frame. These 2 groups are equal. I know this because they both have 2 objects. Let's try another example. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 boys and 1, 2, 3, 4 girls. So our questions are these 2 groups equal and how do we know? Well, first thing is first, we need to line up our groups to make sure that each boy has a girl. So 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, 4 groups. Each group has a pair. They each have a partner. And here's the number 4, so you can just see that each group had 4. 4 boys and 4 girls. Each arrow is lined up. That tells me they each have a partner. So I know that these groups are equal because each group has 4. So let's put that in our sentence frame. These 2 groups are equal. I know this because they both have 4 objects. So again, we had 4 boys in this group and 4 girls in this group, and they each had a partner. So I know that 4 and 4 is an equal group. So in this example, we're going to look at the cars below and determine how many we see. Then we're going to determine how many drivers we would need to make an equal group. So I have 1, 2, 3 cars. Well, I know if it needs to be an equal group, the drivers need to have the same number. So I had 3 cars, which tells me I need to have 3 drivers to make an equal group. If I had less than 3, so if I had a group of 2, only this car and this car would have a partner. This car would not. So that tells me that my group needs to be 3. 1, 2, 3 to make it equal. So 1, 2, 3 drivers. And we're going to line them up with our arrows to make sure that they are equal. 1, 2, 3. 3 equal groups. So let's put this in our sentence frame. These 2 groups are equal. I know this because they both have 3 objects. Again, we have 3 cars and we have 3 drivers. 3 and 3 are the same. They make an equal group. So let's try this challenge question. We're going to look at the groups below and determine which groups of objects have the same amount. And then we're going to look and see which group has more or which group has less, and how do we know? So this slide is different. Let's look at the objects. We have 2 orange basketballs. Then we have 2 orange basketballs, but they are much bigger than the other group of basketballs. And then at the bottom of the screen, we have 1, 2, 3 basketballs, but they are white. So these groups of objects are similar in how they look. They're all basketballs. They all have lines on them, but they're different in their size or their color. But we're only going to focus on how many are in the group. So we want to know which of these 2 groups have the same amount. The 2 small basketballs, the 2 large basketballs, or the 3 white basketballs. So this group has 1, 2, 2. This group has 1, 2, 2, and this group has 1, 2, 3, 3. So I know if it's going to be an equal group, they have to have the same number. So I look at these 2 groups and I'm going to say to myself, wow, Miss M, these groups both have the number 2. They each have 2 basketballs, so they must have the same amount. So this group and this group are the same. Now we're going to look and see which of the groups had more or less. So I'm going to look at our last group and I'm going to count and say 1, 2, 3. Well, I know that 3 is 1 more than 2, so I know that this group at the bottom has 1 more than our groups of 2. So let's put this in our sentence frame. These 2 groups are equal. I know this because they both have 2 objects. So scholars, I hope this video helps you determine if groups have a same amount of objects. And again, remember, same means identical. So you're looking for the groups that have the same number. And if you don't have the number right away, like we did in our PowerPoint, you need to just look at the groups and count and say, this group has 2, and that looks very similar or the same to this group that had 2. So I hope this helps you complete some of your packet work that you have left. And I hope this will also help you with your summer packets that you have to help you prepare for first grade. So good luck on your packet work, scholars, and I hope this was helpful.